Test, 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 test. Good morning, team. Good morning. Test, test, test. GM. Gonna give everybody 3 minutes to join and then we'll get started, guys. Mr. Elijah, good morning, my brother. My bad. I was just got back. Was giving everybody 3 minutes to join. Let me know if you can hear me now. We'll get started now if everybody's ready. Looks like everybody's sleeping still today. Perfect. Good morning, Elijah. So, just wanted to kind of turn the stream on, show you guys what everything's doing. We'll see what pairs are left for the day, and then if there's something left, we will continue to look at it. If there's nothing left for us to trade, then we'll be pretty much done. Right? We'll wait till Sunday's session and then next week to start taking trades again. Oh man, give me a second, guys. Right, so AU, gonna turn it off. Still moving counter trends. Right, we talked about this yesterday. This 800 EMA, it's really gonna ruin the change of character breakup structure that we have to the downside. right? Outside of that as well, the reason why I'm not really looking for downtrend pushes is because if we go to the daily time frame, if we go to the 4-hour time frame, what is price doing now? Making higher highs and higher lows, right? We understood, especially on the 4-hour, we're trading higher high, higher low, higher high, right? And what is this push to the downside that we saw? This was just a pullback. This was price going down, just creating a higher low. And in the higher low, what are we looking for? We're looking for price to go up. So we understood that on the 30-minute time frame, this change of character break of structure to the downside was just an inducement, right? To trap traders, the ones who are already in this trade thinking that this was going to be lower low, lower high, lower low, boom, retest lower high, to continue to go down. This is where the market makers are trapping traders, right? And hitting everybody's stop losses. Basically I trade futures, all these applications can work. Yep, it's the same thing, right? We talk about this all the time. Everything, every it doesn't matter what you trade, whether it's futures, forex, the regular stock options, commodities. It doesn't matter what you trade. All of this is the same way. They're all traded the exact same way. And I could show you a chart just real quick, just so you can see. I trade every single pair the exact same way, right? I trade commodities the same way that I trade indexes, is the same way that I trade the forex pairs, is the same way that I trade when I go and I look at Tesla, Nvidia, right? You see that I have NQ here as well. It's the same chart. Now, what I will say about the futures chart, right? You have to make sure, right? Just so you can see, I'll go to the daily time frame. I trade the exact same way. You can see that I still have the engulfing candles. Obviously, I just don't take this chart as seriously as the other ones, so I don't have it marked with the actual tools. I just have it marked with the highlighter tools. But it's the exact same thing, right? The gaps in the market are all the exact same thing. We had gaps going to the downside and we filled them all. Right now we have gaps going up. So, um, what I will say about the futures chart compared to the forex charts, which is something that I realized a few weeks ago, since I don't trade futures, I didn't know this until I forgot who it is that I was watching, but I'm like, oh, this chart, it was MNQ, it was gold. The chart for futures might look, depending on the day, depending on the time, depending if there's news, the chart, for example, for MNQ is gonna look completely different than the gold chart. So that's the only key difference. Now, I'm gonna be real. I've never traded futures. I started trading in 2018. I've never looked at a futures chart. I don't care for it. I don't know what the biggest difference is, right? So, when it comes to marking your charts, I couldn't really tell you, oh, just keep an eye on the regular gold chart on the forex side, just the regular XAU USD instead of looking at MNQ. I can't tell you that because I don't know the difference, right? I know that the candlesticks and the movements sometimes look different, but I don't know why. Um, but the actual strategy, what I'm looking for, how I trade is the exact same thing across the board. You'll be looking for the same thing. But again, the only difference would be there'll be some there'll be some things we'll talk about. For example, if you're looking at MNQ or if you're looking at NQ, um, which NQ is just NAS 100. I don't trade NAS 100, but I trade US 30. Again, US 30, S&P 500, NAS 100, they all move the exact same way. The only difference is going to be how the chart looks sometimes. Sometimes it looks exactly the same. Sometimes there'll be a little bit of a difference. Um, but at the end of the day, the overall bias of the day is going to happen the exact same way. Um, so we were saying about AU, right? AU, we're pretty much done with that. It's still moving counter. So let's go back to the trades that we have left for the day. So GA, we talked about this giving us this 4th day push to the top side, right? I was telling you guys, I'm not trading Asia session. If we would have taken this trade during Asia session, the same way that we explained last night, we would have been in profit a few pips, and then price would have went down and hit your stop loss, right? Again, keep in mind, right? The best way to think about trading is like if you're playing a sport that has different quarters in the game. For example, football, right? American football, since I know a lot of you guys aren't in America here, right? American football, how many quarters do you have, right? When you're talking about I don't soccer, right? Football, I don't know, I don't play that. I wouldn't know. I think it's just 90 minutes straight. So I can't give the example of that. But baseball, right? How many innings do you have in baseball? You have 9 innings, right? Basketball, how many quarters do you have? You have 4 quarters, right? So with that being said, you have to trade, or you have to treat trading the exact same way. What does that mean? Well, if you're a player and you play in the first quarter and you play in the second quarter and you play in the third quarter, more than likely you're not going to play at the end of the day because you're going to be super tired, you're going to be fatigued. You just played for 45 minutes straight for an hour straight. You're going to be tired, right? So it's the same way in trading, right? If you let the market makers play the first round, right, which we'll talk about it in market sessions. If you let the market makers do what they got to do during Asia session, and you let the market makers do what they got to do during the London session, then not only will you already know what's going to happen during the NYC, but you'll get away from the trap moves, right? So exactly what we were saying yesterday. If you would have taken this trade during Asia session, even though it looked picture perfect, even though it looked good, even though we know price is going to give us a new high, your stop loss would have been hit. You have to let the market breathe. You have to let the market do what it has to do, and then you start getting into the trades, right? And it happens every single day. It happens all the time. If you look, as soon as the market opens, if you're taking any of these trades here, boom, you're going into your stop loss. If you're taking any of these trades here, boom, going into stop loss every single time, right? The one time this week that price didn't do that was Monday, straight to profit, right? So again, this is the reason why I don't trade Asia session. I would rather not, because it's just for what? We're gonna risk losing the trade to then have to wait another 5 hours, right, till 1, 2 in the morning to look for another trade. Like, there's no point, right? I'd rather go to sleep, have my beauty sleep. That's why I got luscious, beautiful long hair, right? Get my beauty sleep in, wake up during the end of London, going into NYC, and then I start looking for trades, right? So GA is still looking good. The one thing I do want to calculate, right, which we'll do with all these pairs, is the STP. If STP is already hit, then that's it. There's no more trades left for the day. STP is 119 for this pair, and we already did 109, so we're still missing a few pips, right? And this is good, right? We know that 119 pips, it'll pretty much be the same in the same place where the 4-day variation is, what we're looking for this new high. What I want to look for here on GA now is an engulfing candle. Do we have any engulfing candles on the daily, on the 4-hour, on the 1-hour, on the 30-minute? And then see if we could get a retest. So nothing on the daily, nothing on the 4-hour, nothing on the 1-hour time frame either. No engulfing candles. On the 30, we had an engulfing candle here, but this one obviously was at the end of the day, was already used up as well, so that one was invalidated. Nothing here on the 30. On the 15-minute, nothing on the 15 either. Go to the 5-minute and then look at structure in the 5-minute too. Beauty is pretty, just like a flower. Color the ceiling tower is red tonight. In the 5-minute, we're still trading higher high, higher low, higher high. And if we look at the 1-minute structure, I'm not going to be looking for a 1-minute engulfing, but we do have higher high, higher low, lower low, lower high, lower low. Give us a little inducement, right? Then give us another lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Then price gave us lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low, boom, higher high break of structure, higher low. Gave us a retest here, right, which was beautiful. Broke above the 800 EMA, gave us a retest. Right, only thing that was missing here again in the 1-minute, which would have been another, just a better entry and stop loss, would have been an engulfing candle, but regardless, it did exactly what it needed to do. And then just continued higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then right now price gave us an inducement of the low, lower low change of character here. And again, there's no engulfing candles. Damn, what time is it? Big ass candle for no reason. But again, we could see that that's the engulfing or the inducement. Continue. We'll keep an eye on GA, right? The next thing I want to look at is like, okay, if we have an entry here, we'll have about a 10 pip stop and a 40 pip TP is not bad, right? So we'll keep an eye on GA. GCAD, let's calculate STP at 85 pips. We've done 70. Is it 85? 124 minus 33% is 83. So we're still missing a few pips. Still looking good. Same thing as GA. If we would have taken these trades yesterday during the Asia session, straight to stop loss, right? Is there a way you're? I think you meant my voice. I have all my settings are all the way up. Make sure that the volume on your computer is all the way up, or on your phone, wherever it is that you're looking at me on. Because on my end, on my settings, everything is completely up. Let me know if yeah, nah, there's nothing else I could do. Everything is completely turned all the way up. Unless I have a filter on, which I don't think I do. No, I don't have a filter on. Yeah, I mean, everything is turned all the way up, so not really much I could do here. Yeah, let me know if it sounds better or if anything else, but make sure that your volume is all the way up, cause for me, all my settings are all the way to the top, or all the way high. So same thing with GCAD, right? We still kind of waiting for price to give us something, another confirmation to get into the trade. So we'll keep an eye on this for now. It's looking good. GJ tapped into that engulfing candle and went straight up to profit, right? The only thing I didn't like about this engulfing, which is what we talked about yesterday, that if price goes to this engulfing candle, STP would already be hit, right? And STP is 98 pips. We already did 100 pips, so GJ is already done. I'm not looking at this trade for the day. Not going to be looking for anything on GJ. US 30, obviously I'm going to look at this closer to 9:30. I'm not really going to focus on this just now. It's a little bit too early for that. I do want to keep in mind with the news and everything else for today, we have Canadian news at 8:30 and that's it. That's the only news that we have, and then we have medium impact at 11 a.m. for USD. So we're going to just be patient. Again, this week a lot of trap moves were made this week. A lot of news this week. A lot of things going on outside of Forex Factory, right? Politically, a lot of wars going on still. The tariffs still going crazy. So I'm not gonna force myself to get into a trade. If something doesn't look picture perfect, I'm just not gonna take it. Right? USD CAD already gave us that third day high, so I'm done looking at USD CAD. USD ZAR is just still in the zone of consolidation, so we're just gonna turn that off. For gold, right? Again, structurally speaking, we were trading lower low. We'll do this with the highlighter. Lower low, lower high, lower low, and then price came up and gave us a higher high change of character. Price came down, gave us a little higher low, right? Could price give us another push to the top side? That would be ideal, right? The first thing I want to look at again is ADR for the day is 915 pips. Subtract that by 33% is 613. Right, so for the day I'm expecting at least 613 pips. And we've already done 637 pips for the day. So with gold I'm done looking at. That's it. It already gave us the move that we were looking for the day. Nothing left on the table for us. And then Bitcoin, right, we know we're stuck at a higher high. 256 pips is ADR. STP is 171. And we already did 197 pips. So Bitcoin is done. So the only three pairs we really have left for the day is US 30, GCAD, and GA. So US 30, again, I'm not really going to pay attention to it until 8 o'clock, 8:30. Going to be a little bit closer to the NYC session. And then we'll keep an eye on GCAD and GA. At this point, I'm looking for a pullback. If we could get a nice pullback, then we'll see if we could take a trade. But not really expecting much out of the markets today. Again, it's Friday. I usually don't even trade Fridays. So I just kind of wanted to turn the stream on for you guys so you guys could see the process of my everyday process, right? Especially for you guys here on YouTube, since we don't do these sessions every single day anymore. Um, I like to turn it on so you guys can see exactly what it is that I look at, how I look at it, the process of choosing which pairs to look at, which pairs not to look at, and the reasons why, right? Because you always have to have a reason as to why you're looking at something or why you're not looking at something. Um, and again, the fact that we did the live session yesterday and we talked about the exact reason as to why I wasn't looking to take these trades early yesterday, and then seeing it happen live, that's another reason why I wanted to turn the stream on. So you guys could see exactly what it is that I'm looking for and the reasons as to why we didn't look for those trades yesterday. So just gotta be patient. Starting in June as well, I'm going to might do a little section where I start waking up for London session just to look at these GBP pairs. That might be something I'll do. So probably starting at around 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. I'll start turning the streams on, and then we'll look at London session, and then we'll take a little hour and a half break, and then come back during the NYC session. But that should be fun though. But any questions, guys? Any pairs you guys want me to go over that we haven't looked at yet? Anything, any questions, anything at all? Just let me know. Again, if not, then we're pretty much just kind of gonna be sitting here and just waiting to see what's gonna happen with these pairs. Right now, there's really no entries that we could take. GA and GCAD, we're sitting at a higher high for the day. We're sitting at the high of the day. And then for US 30, we just printed a weird candle, a weird 30-minute candle. So, it's not an exhaustion candle. It's pretty much a doji candle. It's just a exhaustion candle going both ways. We're sitting in the middle of the day for the day today. So, just gonna wait it out. Gonna wait for structure to play out, and that's pretty much it. But let me know in the chat if you guys have any questions. Any pairs you guys want me to go over specifically, let me know. Doesn't matter what pair it is, we could do it. Top down on BTC, I got you. Yeah, so Bitcoin, very similar to the US 30. So I just want to put that out there. It's very similar to the US 30. So one thing with Bitcoin, right? We know right now we're at the highest point. So we no longer have data on the left-hand side, right? There's nothing for us here to talk about on the left-hand side, right? We're at the highest point. When we're looking at the market makers pattern, we know that we've completed the uptrend in the market makers pattern, right? We have the first push, the first zone of consolidation, the second push, the second zone of consolidation, and then it gave us push number 3 to the top side, right? And again, we know that the market moves in two ways. Either the trends, lower lows, lower highs, or higher highs and higher lows, right? Or we know that price gives us a zone of consolidation, just a range, just sideways movement, right? In this case, price gave us higher high, higher low, higher high, right? It gave us a little variation of both sideways movement and a pullback, gave us a higher low, and now it's looking like price wants to give you a higher high, right? So right now on the daily time frame, we're still trending. We're still uptrending. We're still making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, looking to see if price is going to give us a higher high, right? On the 4-hour time frame, same thing. On the 4-hour, the structure was just a little different. Right at one point on the 4-hour time frame, price was giving us lower low, lower high, lower low, and then price gave us the higher high change of character, gave us a higher low, right? And then now we're trading between this higher low here and these higher highs over here, right? Not only that, we had 2 weeks of rise. After 2 weeks of rise, this week we were expecting price to give us another another push to the top side, right? And that's exactly what price gave us. The only thing was with Bitcoin, based on the fact that we were in peak high territory, and we talked about this during Sunday's session. If you guys want to go to Sunday's session and rewatch that, right? The reason I'm not looking for entries here on Bitcoin was because we're in peak high territory. But price did exactly what it had to do, right? At the higher low, it gave you a 4-hour. Just look at these entries, right? These entries were picture perfect. Only thing was structure didn't play out, which is the reason why we weren't looking at this, right? So we had an engulfing candle on the 4-hour time frame. We had the retest, and then price went straight into profit, right? If you go to the 30-minute time frame, same thing, right? On the 30-minute time frame, again, we know we're trading higher high, higher low. At the higher low, price gave you a double bottom. On top of the fact that it gave you a double bottom, it also gave you a an engulfing candle, right? Another engulfing candle right here. Red candle, green candle closed above the the body of the red candle. You had the retest, right? Which again we'll mark it up so you guys can see exactly where that entry would have been, right? Boom, you had the retest. Your entry would have been here, your stop loss at 35 pips, and then straight into profit, right? And then again, we know that we were expecting price to give us a new weekly high. So the question is, oh, where would you have placed your take profit? Where would your stop loss be? Again, it's very simple. You have your engulfing candle, so you know you could take your entry there, your stop loss right below the engulfing candle, right? And then again, we know we were looking for that fourth week high, so we could have been targeting the fourth week high, which would have been these highs over here. And that would have been that would have been the position and the TP. Now, the fact that price continued to push to the top side, right, is just more pips for the day, right? Not really expecting that to happen, and you can see that as soon as price, um, as soon as the market opened for Wednesday going into Thursday, it just completely shot right back to the top side. So this would have been the trade for the week for Bitcoin, 100%. Right, but that's pretty much it. So like now, what are we expecting? Again, at this point, there's nothing on the left-hand side. Right, we already completed after 3 weeks of rise the market. So next week, what am I expecting? Just to say this, right? After 3 weeks, or after 3 months, or after 3 days of a push, whether it's 3 days of drop, or 3 days of rise, or 3 weeks of rise, or 3 weeks of drop, or 3 months of rise, or 3 months of drop, the next day, or the next week, or the next month, we're expecting price to either move sideways, or in this case, since we're in 3 weeks of rise, next week I'm expecting price to go down, right? Either move sideways or go down. So at this point, I'm just gonna be very cautious in this area before I take another trade, right? We're trading at a higher high. So then again, I'll the same thing we talked about the other day on the stream, right? And this is a question for you guys in the chat. Feel free to answer the question. Again, there's no such thing as wrong answers. That's what we're here for, right? When you're trading a trend, right, are you expecting price to do higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? Or are you expecting price to make higher high, higher low, higher high, 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 higher high? What are you expecting? Are you expecting higher highs or higher lows? A, or are you expecting B? Higher highs and higher highs and higher highs and higher highs. Type in the chat. In a trend, are you expecting higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher lows? Or are you expecting higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high? Let me know in the chat. Give you a minute to answer that question. Right? You're expecting higher highs and higher lows. Exactly. You're expecting A. So at this moment, not only are we sitting at a higher high, right? But again, you connect that with what we know about the three pushes on the weekly time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, sorry, right? You know that again, we're sitting at a higher high. We have 3 weeks of rise. So what are we expecting? We know that next week, right, going into next week, we're either expecting price to give us a pullback, right, a higher low, or we're going to be expecting price to give us that zone of consolidation that we talked about, right? So at this moment, that's it, right? If we would have had this conversation last week, we would have obviously talked about the fact that we're trading at a higher high, we have a higher low, we're going to be looking for that higher low to be set, we'll be looking for the engulfing candles to then give us that push to the top side for another push, for another week of rise, right? But in this case, I'm no longer looking for price to continue the push to the top side. I want to see price give me a pullback. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin for now. Now, do I expect Bitcoin to keep pushing up? To be honest, I don't know. Again, there's a lot of manipulation when it comes to Bitcoin, and even when it comes to US 30 at this point. There's just a lot of manipulation, and again, it all boils down to the president, right? If the president keeps talking about crypto, if the president keeps pumping the market is just going to continue to push to the top side regardless of what we see. And we've seen that happen many times before, right? Where again, it doesn't matter if we're seeing downtrend pushes. If the president starts talking and he says one thing about crypto, it's going to blow up and it's just going to fly, right? So right now is the same thing with US 30. If the president keeps talking about the stock market and he keeps doing what he's doing, then this shit is just going to continue to push to the top side, right? And US 30 is one of those situations where it's like when you're looking at market structure on the daily time frame, it looks like it wants to start downtrending, right? It gave you a lower low change of character, it gave you another lower low break of structure, it gave you a double top. You could clearly see that this is downtrending. But if we keep doing stuff in our government, if we continue to do stuff that's gonna make price go up, then that's what's gonna happen, right? Same thing on the 4 hour. On the 4 hour is the exact same thing, lower low, lower high, and it's just us pretty much waiting to see, okay, is price gonna give us a lower high to then continue into a lower low, or is price just gonna continue this uptrend push that we're seeing? So just gotta be careful with these trades. You know, obviously the last couple days you could see how the market makers are trapping traders, right? How many traders yesterday did you see going short yesterday during the NYC session, and then price went whoop, right back to the top side? Right, on Wednesday in this zone of consolidation, how many traders did you see lose on Wednesday because of that zone of consolidation? So, you know, same thing for Tuesday. How many traders you think started going short because price gave you that break, right? Break retest. How many traders you think lost this trade? Straight to stop loss, right back to the top side. So, it's just a lot of manipulation right now. Way too much in my opinion. So, you know, we've been talking about that all week too. You know, I'm not gonna force myself to get into a trade. If it doesn't look picture perfect, I'm not gonna take a trade. And that's pretty much it. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. But let me know if you guys have any other questions. Anything else about what we talked about, let me know. I'll be right back. I'm gonna just go grab a water. No problem, my brother. um, I've not been active with you because of my internet connection, but right now I've done a terabyte subscription because I went offline to make side hustle. So it's all good. So no worries. I understand. You know, the good thing is that all of these streams are recorded and posted. So if if you're, you know, obviously we haven't done the streams on YouTube every single day since we started the subscription, right? So if you're not part of the membership, then There'll be some streams you won't be able to watch because they're done on the on our website. Um, but again, the streams on YouTube, I still do them here. So the good thing is that the Sunday session, which is the weekly market breakdown, which is the one that we talk about every single pair and we talk about what we expecting price to do. That one is recorded and then posted as soon as the live stream is ended. And the same thing, like Monday we have the trading session here. The isolation session is here on Mondays. Tuesday, same thing. The live trading session is done here. Um, and then Thursday night isolation session is here, and then Friday, today's obviously trading session is done here. So the good thing is that if you missed anything or you want to go back and rewatch something that you probably think you missed, you could go back and watch that on the YouTube page. But like I said, it's all good. I understand. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. I'll probably give this a few more minutes, but I don't think, like I said, I usually don't trade Fridays, so I'm not even gonna. And again, most of these entries that were given were early. I would have loved to have taken the trades down here. I don't really, there's really no point in me taking a trade for only 20 pips. The risk to reward at that point wouldn't even be worth it. Um, same thing with GCAT. Like GCAT is pretty much already done for the day. We're only missing 10 pips left before STP gets hit. So I'm not really super interested. And plus, GCAT is another situation where higher time frame we're stuck in the zone of consolidation. So regardless, before I want to even take a trade, I want to see price break the zone of consolidation, right? So again, pretty much unless you guys have any other questions, then that's pretty much it for me today. I'm not gonna take any trades today. So if there's no more questions, nothing else you guys want to talk about, then I'll be pretty much done for the day, and we'll be back again on Sunday. Sunday is Mother's Day here. I think it's Mother's Day everywhere. No, I don't know. I don't know how that shit works. Well, Mother's Day here in the States on Sunday. So if man, I don't know what the plan is. I might just do the session tomorrow. Right, Saturday. Yeah, I might just do the session tomorrow, and then we'll go on from there. Or if anything, I might do the session tonight after the market closes. I might just do the session tonight on YouTube. I'll have it posted, and then we'll be ready for next week as well. So in that way, everybody will have a chance to watch it. Because again, I know a lot of people are going to be out eating with their families on Sunday, being with their moms. So I'm not going to force anybody to have to watch our session during Mother's Day. But that'll be most likely what I'm gonna do. I might just do it tonight. So you have a summary on how to spot the market maker's pattern. Yeah, so that's in the if you go to the Sunday sessions, if you want to watch the recordings, just go back and watch the weekly market breakdowns. If you scroll all the way to like the early times, even if you want, like I could link you the best one to watch. I'll put it in the chat now. Um, and that'll give you, that'll answer your question on that. Okay, why is it showing me like this, man? Like, I don't want to see that. I want to go to my channel, and then I want to go to live session, and then I want to go here. Okay. Copy link. Yeah, so I'm gonna link you 3 videos. These are really the best ones to watch. Um, they talk about the market maker's pattern, how to look at it, stuff like that. They're not super long. I know they're one of them is like an hour long. The other one is like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. But those are the best three videos to watch. Um, where E speaks about the market maker's pattern, how to look at it, and he does the whole breakdown there of all the other pairs. So those are the ones that'll make everything make a lot more sense. But yeah, guys, any other questions? If not, that's pretty much it for today, and we'll be back again for the weekly market breakdown. Again, I'll most likely do it tonight, so if you guys are available tonight, want to watch that weekly market breakdown, you could 100% join up. If not, as soon as we're done with the stream, it'll be uploaded to YouTube. So everybody will be ready for next trading week. Any other questions? I'll give you guys a minute. 60 seconds. Again, if no other questions, then we'll be done for the day, and we'll be back next week on Monday for the live trading session. Downloaded them. Watch after. All right, perfect. All right, Mr. Elijah. We'll be back next week. Hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you have a good weekend. We'll speak to you later.